Hi, I'm Tom Migot from Tom Migot Photography, and welcome to Scotland, welcome to the Pentland Hills. We're just on the outskirts of Edinburgh. Edinburgh is right beyond the hills there. And today, as you can see, we have some haze, and that's because we've been quite lucky with the 1st of October 2015. And over the past few days, it's been quite warm and quite sunny. And so all the humidity from the ground is evaporating, creating that veil, which is fine. And if you don't like it in your landscape photograph, you can always use the dehazing function of Lightroom 6. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I did a video several months ago about it, and you can just click on the link. Talking about landscape photography, I've got 4 words for you: tripod, 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 tripod. You know, since 2012 that I've been doing photography workshop across the country, I've never had a group, I've never had a student who at some stage didn't ask me, Tom, do I need to take the tripod? Guess what my answer has been? Of course you take your tripod with you. It has no business whatsoever in your car boot or at home. If you're serious about landscape photography, you need to have a sturdy tripod. I never leave home without one. And if you don't know how to choose the right tripod for you, because it's quite tedious, there's so many of them, especially when you want to choose your first tripod. Well, I've done a video guide about it last year, so you can click on the link right now and hopefully it will help you. And all the tripods that I discussed, I actually personally own them, so I bought them with my own cash. So it's in no way an ad for a given brand or model. Another thing as well that I hear quite a lot during my photography workshops is, Tom, how do I actually frame this scene? Do I go portrait or landscape? You know, personally, I hate those expressions, portrait and landscape, to define the orientation of your photograph, simply because it would imply that a portrait photograph has to be vertically shot, and subsequently a landscape photograph has to be horizontally shot, which is absolutely nonsense. And I invite you to go check my own work on tommygotphotography.com in the galleries, both portrait and landscapes, and you'll see that I've done compelling portrait photography photographs shot in an horizontally fashion, and landscape photograph that I've shot vertically. So there's no real rule about that. However, it does bring a question: is there a magic rule to define how to choose the orientation of your framing? Well, there isn't. I think it will all depends of your subject. It will depends of the lines, the curves, where the light is coming from, the subject you're trying to capture, the message you're trying to convey in your photograph. All these will define the orientation. However, my rule of thumb is to never leave a scene, whatever orientation I choose, never leave a scene without capturing a shot with a different orientation. And that is because you may never know, you may be missing on a fantastic compelling photograph just because the orientation would work better and you didn't think about it. Because when we think landscape photography, we always by default go horizontally, and there is a reason for it. It's to do with the equipment, the way it's set up. Look, we have the camera is sitting on the tripod and the default position is horizontal, but you can change that and tilt the camera to make it go vertical, and that doesn't matter which tripod you have, or tripod head or camera. Here on the ball head, what you do, you release the knob, you twist the ball head, and all you need to do is tilt your camera. However, doing this has a risk and a couple of problems that I want to talk to you about. The risk is to do with weight distribution. You see, the reason why your tripod and your gear sitting on top of it are stable is because of weight distribution. The whole weight of your lens plus camera and whatever other equipment you have on it is sitting at the center of your tripod. So all the weight is distributed through the legs of your tripod. That makes it sturdy. As soon as you tilt your camera to go to this vertical orientation, then the whole weight of your equipment is now shifted on the side of the tripod, and the center of gravity is no longer the same, and that actually can lead your whole equipment to fall. This is not an hypothesis. No later than last week, I actually did a 4-day workshop at the northwest coast of Scotland with 3 French gentlemen, and one of the students suddenly changed the orientation just like this. He had the same ball head as mine and roughly the same equipment, except it was Nikon, but I don't hold them grudge for that. And suddenly the whole equipment just fell, the whole thing. He could have shattered his glass. The reason he didn't is because he had a neutral graduated filter sitting at the front of it that protected it. Didn't protect the filter was all scratched. But there's a lesson to be learned here. So my advice to you is, if you tilt your camera this way, try to make sure that it will go in alignment with one of the legs, like this one. And so, because when you do this, there is absolutely no way that the whole setup can balance in that direction, in the direction of the weight. So that's the first thing. That was the risk and a tip. The problems is around the whole angle of view. You see, when you have the camera set up this way, if I actually take a shot, and you're going to see it's going to be infrared because the camera is converted infrared. So here's my shot, and you see where my tripod is sitting, you see the whole scene and so on. Now all I'm doing is basically tilting my camera sideways and take another shot. As you can notice now, well, the tripod is no longer the center of my frame, and that is normal because my lens is now sitting here. So it's not even the same, it's no longer in the center, but then it's also lower as well. So you change the whole dynamic of your picture. So you need to readjust, use maybe the center column, move the tripod to get exactly the same frame, but this time vertically oriented. And sometimes you can't do it. You know, several weeks ago I did an episode about how to capture the right, how to hunt for the right angle, the perfect shot. And one of the shots that I did was capturing a waterfall. Well, the picture is appearing here on the screen for you, but the way I was positioned, there was no way I could move the tripod if I wanted to tilt the camera this way, because then I would not have seen the waterfall the same way because of the walls, the rocks that were between me and this waterfall. So the angle of view is the problem. The second problem that I would say is around the leveling. You see, you level, and that may change depending on the tripod head you own, and I admit that. But for the majority of us, if you actually set up your tripod, your camera, set up horizontally, you do the leveling using whatever tool you have. I tend to use the digital leveling tool built in the new modern cameras. You set it up, and as soon as you go vertically, well, guess what? The whole thing is no longer level, so you need to level it again. So that's another problem. So several months ago, I was actually searching for a solution. I wanted something quick that I could actually change the framing quickly without having to reset everything. And I found a solution. The solution is an L plate or L bracket. And I'm going to show you what it is. This is it. Let me come closer to you. This is sitting on my 5D Mark III with a battery grip. And an L plate or L bracket, it's basically an L-shaped plate. This one is a Manfrotto. So let me clear the air before we go any further. Why did I go for Manfrotto? First off, this episode is not sponsored by Manfrotto. And the reason why I went for Manfrotto is because several years ago, when I was making choices for tripod and tripod heads, I had a choice to make on the quick release system. The quick release system is what enabled me to attach and detach my camera quickly from my tripod head. This is the quick release. I had two choices: either go with some proprietary solution like Manfrotto and other brands, or go for a rather standard approach, that is the Arca Swiss system. And I'm not going to complain about the Arca Swiss system. I just simply didn't like the locking mechanism that I found. And so I made a choice to go with Manfrotto. So when I was to choose an L-shaped plate or L bracket, I had to make sure that this L bracket was compatible with my quick release system, because I didn't want to change everything. And I could have gone with a generic plate and tried to find some adapter, but that would have been quite bulky and not easy to use, and so that's the reason why I didn't go for it. And I looked at Manfrotto. It's not cheap like any branded item, but it was £85 on Amazon, so it's not that bad. It's built in magnesium, so it's very strong, very sturdy, and there's pros and cons, and I'm going to talk to you about them. So this reference is called actually the L Bracket Q2. The Q2 is referring to the plate, the quick release plate system. There's Q5 and Q4, I believe, or Q3. It's to do with the width and the length of the plate itself, but they all have the same overall mechanism. So what do you find on it? Well, you find first of all a quick release plate right here, right underneath, similar to the one that I had on the 60D. You also have one on this vertical segment, and that's what you're going to use to attach it vertically. To set up your plate to your camera, to attach it, you need an Allen key, and the Allen key is actually stored in the vertical segment of your plate right here. So Manfrotto did a good job there. So wherever you go, you always have that key with you. So you just need to screw this. You notice we have a bolt right here, and that is for the angle of view problem. So let me show you how it works, the different problems and issues that I was referring to earlier, and I'll talk to you about this bolt. So I set up the tripod by default like this. I can actually lock it because I will never rotate it anymore. By default, I have my camera set up like this. We first talked about the problem of the risk, the weight distribution. You see, by default it's set up like this. Fair enough. If I want to go vertical, now all I need to do is detach and reattach, and it's still at the center of my tripod. Nothing has changed, and the whole weight distribution is the same, so it's still stable. So that was the risk. The problem I talked to you about was about the angle of view. And you see, with this plate, and I probably need to go closer to you, and I hope you can see it properly. We have a bolt right here, and this is because this plate enables you, and that's quite smart, and that's the reason why I chose this plate as well, enables you to have the lens and the plate on either direction, either orientation, to be equidistant. And to ensure that, Manfrotto gives you a little ruler measurement tool like this in this Y shape. And what you do, you basically place it like this. You take the measurement to the plate, and then all you need to do is rotate it, go over here at the same level for the plate, and make sure that the distance is the same. And doing that enables you now that when I go here and I take my horizontal shot, I'm not framing particularly well. I hope it's focused because it's a manual lens. And now I take the vertical one. You say everything, I keep the angle of view is the same. We went vertical, but it's the same angle of view. So that's how it works, and I think it's really, really good. It comes with two different bolts, one short and one long. Here's the short one. The reason why I have a long one is simply because I'm using a battery grip, so the distance between my lens and the bottom plate is greater, and so that's the reason why I need a longer bolt to adjust the height on the side, which becomes the height for my vertical orientation. So another pros to this system is a safety peg. You see, it's right at the front right here, and that safety peg prevents your camera to, because it's a screw at the bottom, what if it actually unscrew itself a little bit, and over the weight of the lens and the camera, the whole thing could just maybe flip a little bit. Well, this will prevent it, add a little bit more grip and stability to your equipment. Here I must admit, given that I'm using a battery grip and I have this space here on the side of the camera, I actually like using the vertical segment as a handle, as a grip. And so when I walk about right around here, for example, I like holding it this way. It's just easier, it's a handle. So it's a pro. And I think that's about it about the pros. What about the cons? There are some, I'm afraid. The con is that you here I'm quite lucky because I'm using a battery grip, and therefore I have some space between the vertical segment and the camera. And you see on the 5D Mark III, on that side, what I have is a compartment for all different sockets, like the shutter cable release. We have the mic, we have different USB, HDMI and whatnot. So if I didn't have the battery grip, this vertical segment would actually be sticking to the side of my camera, and I would not be able to actually access this compartment. So I'm quite lucky I can do that. Obviously, you could flip the L plate on the other side. For me, I cannot, because I'm using a battery grip, and flipping the L plate the other way, it would sit over here and prevent me from accessing the buttons when I want to shoot vertical. Although, that being said, if I'm going for portraits, and I'm talking about real portraits of a person, I'm not going to use that plate. I'm going to change it. But, you know, I'm using the battery grip all the time, so it would just block the battery grip here, and it will also block the compartment for the card. Having it this way on this side will block your the access to your batteries as well. So I cannot get my batteries out. I need to unscrew it. So that's why having the Allen key wherever you are enables you to unscrew this, pull it off, take your batteries out and replace them. So that's pretty much the cons of this system, but I quite like it. I've had it for several months now and I'm very, very pleased. So that's pretty much it. I'd love to know what system you have. If you found this video informative, put comments in under the video. You know, with every video that I do, there's always an article on my blog. So I invite you to go there. There's a link in the description and also appearing here on the screen. You will find more details about it, dimension, weight and everything. You will find more pictures as well. And you can leave comments. And if you like this video, please give me a thumb. Help me build this new channels because it was quite big before I split it with the French one. So I need some audience on this English channel. So until next time, this is Tom Migot saying, if you like it, well, capture it, do fantastic landscape, and maybe use a nail shape. You'll see it will speed up your process. Ciao.